Israel has launched a new deadly attack on Palestine, this time the city of Jenin. Now, this is from the Washington Post reporting that about 1,000 Israeli soldiers backed by drone strikes stormed Jenin on Monday, targeting a militant, quote, operational command center in the most expansive Israeli military operation in the occupied West Bank in 2 decades. The assaults marked the start of an extensive counter-terrorism effort centered on the densely populated Jenin refugee camp, according to Israeli officials, and were ongoing as of Monday afternoon local time. At least 8 people were killed and 80 injured, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry, with 17 in critical condition. And the residents of Jenin were very rightfully scared of what was going on. From that report from the Washington Post, residents reported receiving text messages from Israeli numbers that warned them to stay inside for their protection. Separate messages directed at militants advised them to surrender yourself for your safety and the safety of those around you. Now we have a video of an Israeli bulldozer destroying a street, which was preventing ambulances from getting injured people in the city.
هاي هون 3 جرافات.
Now I have some more information on this attack and the response to it, but Jackson, first, I just have to say, it really feels like the cruelty is the point when it comes to the actions that Israel takes towards Palestine. I mean, they knew what was gonna happen if they bulldozed that street. They knew that it was gonna prevent ambulances from helping people who were injured because of their attack on Palestine. So it really feels like their intention is to stop, and they bomb hospitals, they bomb nonprofits and NGOs that operate to help children in Palestine. It is genuinely a disgusting human rights abuse.
Definitely, and like as you pointed out, the cruelty being the point. Really, what's going on is eradication. This is what human beings do to the weak. This is what governments do to land masses that they feel like they can take. And with at the end of the day, if AIPAC and the Israel lobby didn't give so much money to our Congress and our Senate, then people wouldn't be fired and silenced for talking about these types of things, because it's legitimate and it's also not unique to the Palestinian people. There's human rights issues that happen worldwide, but because of foreign corruption, people are silenced when they talk about it, or is cloaked over with anti-Semitism, just to point out just general war crimes that are happening to people who really don't have anything to do with any type of religious ideology. It's just about taking land and increasing power, just like it always is.
Yeah, and fortunately there was an outcry, although I'll say that the reporting on what's going on has been sparse and it has not gotten nearly the coverage it deserves. But there has been quick criticism, including from the group Jewish Voice for Peace, which tweeted this out. The Israeli military just launched a full-scale attack on Jenin and laid the city under siege. This is how the Israeli government treats Gaza, and now Netanyahu brought it the occupied West Bank. We demand accountability and US military funding to Israel now. And Lynn Hastings, the UN's humanitarian coordinator in Palestine, sent out this tweet. Alarmed by scale of Israeli force operation in Jenin, occupied West Bank. Airstrikes were used in the densely populated refugee camp. Several dead and critically wounded. Access to all injured must be ensured. OCHOAPT is mobilizing humanitarian partners to provide assistance. However, Marwan Bishara, a senior political analyst for Al Jazeera, says the condemnation can only go so far. Take a look.
By the historic record, these are empty words, meaningless condemnations. More of the same urging, more of the same demanding for some sort of whatever it means, the international community to intervene, knowing all too clearly that there is no such a thing. Probably we are closer to a divine intervention than an international intervention to protect the Palestinian people. Israel continues with total impunity to do what it has done for the last half a century, except is doing more of it with more aggression and more vulgarity.
And he couldn't be more right that Israel acts with impunity, knowing that they have the support of the largest superpower in the United States that operates throughout the world with impunity. But this is just another attack and an uptick in Israeli attacks on the Palestinian people from Common Dreams. Monday's raid came just 2 weeks after Israeli forces killed several Palestinians, including two 15-year-old children, in an attack on the Jenin refugee camp, which Israel's far-right government claims is being used as a hub for terrorist activities. This latest assault also came amid growing settler violence in the West Bank. And they can always use that excuse, right? They can always say they're harboring terrorists in this place, and then any action they take, they can justify it to the world. And that includes, bombing apartment buildings and killing women and children and innocent people as long as they're able to go on the news and make the appeal and say that, well, we're pretty sure they were harboring terrorists there, so we killed 8 civilians in an attempt to stop these terrorists. They're always gonna be, portrayed favorably in most Western media, and that needs to stop. And despite these attacks, of course, the United States continues to provide robust military aid to Israel. Now, according to an updated Congressional Research Service report in March of this year, Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of US foreign assistance since World War II. To date, the United States has provided Israel 158 billion current or non-inflation adjusted dollars in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. At present, almost all US bilateral aid to Israel is in the form of military assistance. From 1971 to 2007, Israel also received significant economic assistance. And Jackson, I am also tired of these thoughts and prayers type responses to what's going on, because at this point, it's become abundantly clear that the United States isn't going to do anything. I mean, the UN has determined that this is, human rights abuses are going on. The Amnesty International said that there is a literal apartheid state happening, and the Western governments they refuse to intervene.
And it's mainly because the United States is such a strong backer. It's kind of a what you gonna do about it type of situation. And it's really interesting how so often that's really all anything ever comes down to when it comes to politics or war or anything with foreign policy. It's who has the biggest guns or who has access to the trade routes or anything along those lines. Because again, like you pointed out, if you say, well, we're just trying to target terrorists, but you take out hospitals or places that really can sustain a population, it's the same thing as, systematically starving people to death, or like systematically poisoning the well, or, making it such that people slowly have to suffer, getting people out of the way, eradication. So nobody really can stand up to the United States, or more importantly, I would say people aren't willing to stand up to it because they simply don't care. And that may, that may be harsh, but it's the truth. The right people don't care enough to stand up, and that's it.
Yeah, no, that it is absolutely the truth of what's going on. And I can't even just say there needs to be accountability. There needs to be actual action. There needs to be on the ground action to prevent what's going on here. They need an immediate stop to some military and all aid to Israel. I mean, the response to this, I think that history will view the support of the Israeli state the same way that history views the support of South African apartheid, and it should. And we need to get to that place sooner than later, because innocent people are being killed in Palestine every day, and it needs to come to an end.